Hey Focus Learners, welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a huge myth-busting journey regarding the NBA's financial history. We're going to completely peel back the curtain on how a struggling sports league transformed into the absolute global financial empire we know today. And we'll look at the brilliant and honestly sometimes totally manufactured marketing machinery that revolved around a young rookie named Michael Jordan.
So, I really want you to picture this. It's 1984, you've got Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and this brand new rookie, Michael Jordan, all playing on the same court. Now pan the camera up and look at the stands. They are practically empty. In fact, it was so incredibly empty during Jordan's first few games in Los Angeles and San Diego that management literally let people in for free at halftime just to make it look less deserted. I mean, no way, right? It sounds impossible today, but that's exactly what happened.
Here's the agenda for today's Explainer. First, the era of empty seats. Second, the Magic Bird marketing scheme. Third, the business of shoes. Fourth, the rookie reality. And finally, number 5, the box office takeover.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, the era of empty seats and the NBA's 1979 financial crisis.
You see, there's just this massive glaring contrast between how we see the NBA today and what it actually was back in 1979. Today, it's an unstoppable global cash cow, sold-out arenas, billionaire owners, the whole shebang. But back in the late 70s, the league was in rough shape, to put it mildly. We're talking widespread drug problems, completely empty seats, and franchises that were literally scraping by just to keep the arena lights on. Get this, the NBA Finals weren't even broadcast live. They were pushed to late-night tape delay. The league was facing a massive existential crisis, and they desperately needed a solution.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Magic Bird marketing scheme and manufacturing a rivalry.
Okay, so fast forward a bit to 1980. To save itself from total financial ruin, the league aggressively pivoted. They basically created this manufactured promotional platform built entirely around Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. They leaned so heavily into these contrasting narratives. Black versus white, East Coast versus West Coast, the gritty Celtics versus the glitzy Lakers, a slow methodical pace versus fast break Showtime. And you know what? It worked like an absolute charm. This very specific, heavily promoted scheme was the exact spark the NBA needed to get their playoffs back on national television.
But here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. While Magic and Bird obviously gave fans an incredible product to watch, the true hero that secured the league's survival was the rise of cable television. Cable TV was the infrastructure. It was the financial lifeline they needed. Suddenly, franchises that managed to snag those cable TV contracts were doing infinitely better than the ones who were left out in the cold.
And that perfectly sets up Section 3, the business of shoes and the truth behind the Nike deal.
Right, so there are a ton of myths floating around about how the Air Jordan empire actually started. A lot of it comes from recent movies and pop culture. But if we go back to the 1984 negotiations, Michael Jordan's coach at the University of North Carolina, the legendary Dean Smith, he was actually the guy calling the shots. Literally, nothing was getting signed without Dean's say-so. Back then, believe it or not, Nike shoes had a pretty bad reputation for being cheaply made and maybe even a little dangerous to play in. It was Dean Smith who put his foot down, demanding that Nike create personalized, safe shoes for his former player, and of course, ensuring that Michael was going to profit handsomely from the deal.
Oh, and another thing. The whole idea that giving a rookie a massive shoe contract was some totally unprecedented revolutionary stroke of genius, not entirely accurate. Between 1980 and 1984, Nike was already quietly handing out payments ranging anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 to college players. They'd do it right after their last NCAA game, just before the draft. So the machinery for these kinds of deals, it was already up and running.
But this is where Jordan's absolute genius for business really kicks in. He figured out super early on that his name, his image, and his likeness, that was his real goldmine. Over his entire career, his Nike contract always brought in way more cash than his actual NBA salary. Think about that. During the 1980s, we saw this incredible cultural shift where more people were actually buying NBA-branded shoes, t-shirts, and sweatpants than were buying tickets to go watch the games in person. Merchandising basically became the new king of the hill. Let's jump into Section 4, the rookie reality, breaking down the myth versus the 1984 footage.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because if you go back and watch the raw, unedited footage of Jordan's very first games in '84, it completely shatters the modern myth. We all have this image of Air Jordan burned into our brains, right?
This basketball Superman just immediately flying through the air, aggressively scoring, dominating every single second. But the reality? You actually see a rookie who's playing pretty cautiously. He's playing out of position at point guard. He's highly focused on fundamental ball handling, quietly executing the coach's plays, playing gritty defense, and actively deferring to the veteran hierarchy already established on the team. He was really trying to manage the offense rather than just ruthlessly hunting for his own shots.
But as you'll see, you just can't keep that kind of individual brilliance bottled up for long. Even while he's carefully navigating those team dynamics, his progression in those first 9 games is explosive. By Game 3, he casually drops 37 points. By Game 6, he outright outduels Isaiah Thomas. Game 7, he hits the Knicks for 33 points. And by Game 9, 45 points against George Gervin. Even while he's tasked with running the Bulls' offense and trying to defend absolute legends like Magic Johnson on the other end of the floor, his reputation was just skyrocketing.
Which brings us right into Section 5, the box office takeover and the Nicholson effect.
I absolutely love this story. So it's November 30th, 1984. The Showtime Lakers, Magic, Kareem, reigning supreme in LA, are playing a home game at the Forum. But the biggest, most famous Lakers fan on the entire planet, Jack Nicholson, he isn't there. Why on earth would he skip it? Because he decided to drive down the street to the LA Sports Arena to watch this new rookie named Michael Jordan play against the Clippers instead. And this brilliantly illustrates the immediate Jordan effect. Just look at the attendance numbers for that specific night. It's wild. Michael Jordan and the Bulls pulled in over 14,300 fans just to watch them play the Clippers. Meanwhile, Magic and Kareem only drew about 12,700 over at the Forum. To really put that into perspective for you, the Clippers' previous home game, before Jordan came to town, only had about 6,200 fans show up. Jordan literally, mathematically more than doubled the attendance just by walking into the building.
Now hold on, let's do a quick reality check here. While this massive box office trend was undeniably catching fire, the NBA wasn't suddenly cured overnight. The reality is that only 8 of Jordan's first 13 road games actually sold out. Which means, 5 of them totally didn't. So even with the most incredibly exciting rookie in the history of sports stepping onto the hardwood, the league still had a very real, lingering attendance problem in 1984.
The league executives knew they had to aggressively market him if they were going to survive. I mean, the media was already calling him the second coming before the guy had even played 20 professional games. The league heavily capitalized on his clean, super marketable image. But the part we tend to forget today? The grit. It actually took Michael Jordan 7 agonizing years of sacrifice, massive failures, and physical beatings to finally win his first championship. He really had to earn that crown. The brilliant marketing preceded the ultimate team success by almost a full decade.
But wow, did that investment pay off? Both by the league and by Jordan himself. By the time we roll around in 1997, as he's wrapping up his second three-peat, that desperate problem from 1979 totally eradicated. Empty seats at an NBA game, especially one featuring Michael Jordan, were completely a thing of the past. He really did cure the NBA's financial crisis. Which leaves us with this final, truly fascinating question to ponder. If the Air Jordan myth, the massive shoe empire, and his ultimate marketability were all engineered and built up years before he ever hoisted a championship trophy, how much of what we just accept as modern sports history is actually the result of absolutely brilliant marketing? It really makes you look at the games we watch today through a totally different lens, doesn't it? Thanks so much for joining me for this Explainer Focused Learners. Keep asking those big questions and we'll catch you next time.